Two. We're live, everybody. Hey, welcome to the show where we have no clue of what's going on, but here's the intro.
This is 2OF Entertainment.
Well, here we go. It's the man that promises you nothing and delivers. It's the veritable man motor mouth. It's Road Woods who feels the need to call himself Rob Vega. It somehow makes him feel important. Anyway, do have a listen and try not to throw up.
We're back, kids. How you doing? Wow, that's exciting. Don't be so excited there.
I'm going with I realized the other day I was at some party and I realized I have turned into Les Grossman.
Well, I didn't want to say anything, but yes, you have. So until you throw 50 turkeys out of a helicopter and think that they can fly, then, you're okay.
You remember this?
Oh, you're talking about Tom Cruise's Les Grossman.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Tom Cruise from Tropic Thunder. That was my can I tell you what's really funny? That is one of his best roles ever. And
I agree.
Said,
Hang on,
and somebody said he's making a movie, a Les Grossman movie. That would be awesome.
I will sign me up. I'll pre-book
in a minute. Yeah.
Oh, on a serious note, that was the best thing, and it will probably remain the best thing he's ever done as an actor. It's hysterical, but I mean, it really, he put a lot of work into that. And I mean, as lead child, the guy who wrote Jack Reacher said, it's the weird thing about movies and good movies and good stories. It's not about the story. It's about the characters.
Right.
And Les Grossman, as played by Tom Cruise, phenomenal.
Now, here's the point. WKRP had a character called Les Grossman. That's where I got the 50 turkeys from. So for you younger kids that don't understand WKRP in Cincinnati, there was a Les Grossman.
Howard Hisseman.
Yeah.
Hang on. Let me see if I can remember. Howard Hisseman, Lonnie Anderson, Gary. What was the guy's name? Gary.
Gary.
Huh?
Gary. That was his name.
Yeah, and the what was the guy's Hank? Who's the guy? Hugo, the stoic sort of guy. The very
Well, I don't even know their characters. I couldn't tell you what they're like. Connie Anderson.
Herb. Wasn't he Herb?
Yeah,
Herb.
Yeah, Herb was a trip.
I remember that because as a kid watching that, I thought surely there should be, because I was even then at an early age, I understood different accents, and I thought, hang on, don't the Americans say herb, but now they're calling him Herb?
Yeah.
They should technically call him Herb, shouldn't they? Right.
Well, Schmuck, I think, was his real name, but it was okay. That was a cute, television series. Yeah, I bring the love, but no, going back to Tom Cruise, I would pay to see a Tropic Thunder, or I'd rather a Les Grossman, and they'd have to bring back Bill Hader though, because he was perfect as the sidekick.
Matthew McConaughey was in that too.
Yep, and Matthew McConaughey. They'd have to bring him back. I love Ben Stiller, but I think that's overplayed. So I don't know how they would do that. But just having him do a 90-minute or 2-hour movie about him being an agent would be hysterical.
He could come back. Ben Stiller could just come back as the dodgeball guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Why not?
That's true.
Right? He could do that. True. And I do know that when Ben Stiller, I don't know who approached who. I think Ben Stiller approached Tom Cruise or something, and they were talking about the movie, and Tom said, I want to do this character.
Well, you know how that started? You know how this all started? Okay, so here's the story, because I watched Ben Stiller actually give an interview about it. So about 3 or 4 years before any of this, they did a parody for MTV Music Awards where Ben Stiller was playing Tom Cruise's stunt double. And so what happened was, as Tom had such a good time being a goof, he said, hey, if you ever do something, think of me. So 4 years fast forward, they're like, hey, we've got an idea for you. So they brought him in for a screen test. And he said, and you can find the screen test online. And the screen test has no music, but Tom is dancing and doing. And he said to Ben Stiller, he goes, I want to have fat hands. That was his thing. I have to have fat hands. Yeah. And so they said when they saw it, it was just going to be like a little cameo, and then it became, oh no, we're going to put him in, like he's going to be a part of the movie, and everyone who sees Tropic Thunder is just like, that's he's the star. Like the rest of the movie, nobody cares about. It's just you want to see Tom Cruise is doing his thing.
Am I right, Stephen?
Yeah. Yep. That's it. That's the Les Grossman move. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's obviously the whole
movie. Yep. Yeah. The whole thing. And as you're doing that, I hear the music in my mind. And every now and then when I want to giggle, I will search YouTube for Tom Cruise doing Les Grossman and watch like the whole clip where he's like,
brilliant.
Right. But all the clips of him, not just the dancing and the ending, but like where he tells Bill Hader when they win the award, he goes, I'm just go to the parties and take credit for it. He goes, oh, I would never do that, sir. And then he turns around and goes, a monkey can do their job. He goes, yes, sir. He goes, I'm not kidding. A monkey could do your job. I mean, just like, love it. It's the best.
Hang on. That was also the movie with Robert Downey Jr.
And he played
the whole
black. Yeah.
What was it? Never go full retard.
Never go full retard. That's right. And then you had Jack Black, who played like a cocaine, whatever.
Oh, God. But so Robert Downey Jr., if I remember correctly, was playing a white Australian.
Yes.
Pretending to be a black African-American.
Correct. No, he's not an African-American. He's playing a black guy because he's not from South Africa. So,
That's true. He was playing an American guy with a serious tan. How about that? Does that work? Is that okay?
Oh, yes.
I have to say today on my show, I had a bit about elongated Rusky.
Yeah.
And by the way, that is pretty much why, in his honor, see, this is a rusk.
Oh, let's close up for the fans.
This is what I think.
There you go.
And this is what I think of rusks. See, this is where they go. You dip them in there, and then you chew their head off.
Right. Well, that's what in America they call it a Stelladora breadstick. But yeah, close enough. So, cheers.
Right.
Anyway,
he's the most famous African American in the world right now.
That's true. His spaceship blew up last week.
Oh,
let
me tell you about that.
You got what now?
So yes, his spaceship blew up.
His spaceship blew up,
and I said today, I said must have been very disappointing for him because he was hoping to get back to Mars for a bit of R&R, right? Maybe a trip down memory lane, and the whole thing just went tits up. Goodbye, rocket. Hello, and I said, you realize if you consider all the expansion that he's been embarking on. With his where he made more family with his time.
Yeah. There you go. Keep going.
Thank you. I said, this might be the first time that he's experienced a failure to launch.
Wow. Anyway. Yeah.
Wow.
75 kids. But he's here till Thursday, folks. Tip your wait staff.
Thank you.
So there you go. That's very cool. He
seems to, elongated Rusky. Yeah.
Anyway. Elongated. Well, in South Africa, I know you guys love him, and Steve Bannon still wants to deport him.
Yeah.
I know. Steve Bannon wants to deport him, so we can only hope. So, there you go. There you go. Tom Cruise's Les Grossman giving Elon Musk a spanking.
Oh.
Tommy, we know Tommy's people watch the show, and Tommy does too. Tommy, come on the show whenever you want. Let's talk about
damn straight.
You doing a Les Grossman.
On Elon.
Or just the new movie. We can talk about that too, just in case Tommy doesn't want to talk about Elon. So
that would be absolutely amazing. So, Mr. Siegel.
Yes, I am.
It's been quite a week, hasn't it?
It's been something, my friend.
Wow.
So
hang on. Had the Iran thing happened last time we spoke?
No, the Iran thing happened on Saturday where the U.S. decided that they were going to blow them to oblivion. And Trump said, I was reading his NATO releases, and he said that no one's seen anything like it since Hiroshima. And I was like, no, Hiroshima was nuclear. You just dropped some big fat 30-ton bombs. However, the problem is, or 30,000-pound bombs, the problem is according to Spooks or Us, news reports and whatever, we've only set Iran back 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
According to Trump, we've set them back to the Stone Age. And we know how truthful he is. So I'm going with the 3 to 6 month one.
Well, what I read today was that he told his people that cows made eggs and chickens delivered milk,
well,
they
that's
would probably
true.
So, But come on, Stephen. Of course, it was obliterated. What? It was total obliteration. Total obliteration. Total obliteration.
Actually, the only guy that could say that makes me believe it is only one guy, and you know who it is?
No.
Schwarzenegger.
Oh, this total obliteration. Yeah.
There you go. There. See, when you say it that way, I'm like,
total obliteration. Yeah. This is fantastic. We're going to go there. We're going to blow it up. Get rid of it. Fantastic. Yeah. Oh my God.
There you go. This is what I want to do when I hear that. When I hear the Arnie talking about total obliteration, I just want to give. It's the 4th of July.
What? Total obliteration.
Listen, English is not my first language, so I'm an alien from Pluto, so I'm learning English daily. So there you go. But total obliteration. Sorry.
Do you know this is a true story? On one of my reports on one of my shows, the reporter was talking about Trump, and she went into the story, and I swear to God, she said, and over to the U.S. now, and President Trump. She said that, and I said to her, no, but she realized she had made a bit of an oops, and then corrected herself.
Right.
And when the news report was over, I said to her, do you know what she said? Yes, you should have had a bit of a fumble. I said, but do you realize what you said? You actually said his original family name. She went, really? And I went, yeah. Did you know that? And she said, no. She said Trump. She said that.
Wow. Very good.
She said that.
Look at her.
I said, somewhere you must have heard it. Somewhere you must have heard it and then just popped it out. How would you make that mistake? I don't know.
Well, he's an orange man.
That was awkward. That was awkward. Yeah, I must say, Stephen, the whole, as I said to you when we were talking about what we were going to chat to today, I think myself and a lot of people watching this right now are going, I'm done, really.
Yeah.
Every week we have to sort of touch on it, but you just go, when are the adults going to take over? I know the world is not perfect, and I know very few people agree with very few people, but damn, it's just, like this whole Iran thing. I mean, I don't care what side of the spectrum anybody is on it. I mean, whatever. But the whole thing, even let's say scenario one, he has completely destroyed, and he hasn't, but let's just say he has completely obliterated the nuclear facility. Okay. So what does that mean? Tell me what that means if he's done that. Let's say he's done that. What does that mean?
Okay, so that just means you've just pissed off the regime over there who said they have sleeper cells in America and they're going to start attacking us internally. So we got that going for us. And two, they're just going to go start it somewhere else. That's what it means. I mean, it's A and B. There's no.
That is if he was successful. If they've leveled, there's no more nuclear, nothing. All right, and that's what you described. And notwithstanding the fact that I may be wrong, I didn't look at his manifesto because it kept changing, quite honestly. Wasn't he the guy that said he wasn't going to be drawn into any wars? He was the guy that would be celebrated by the wars he did not get into, as opposed to the ones that Biden and Obama and anybody with a D after their name had led America into. Am I wrong? I just want to make sure that I'm clear on that.
That's 100% correct. However, this is not a war because all we did was bomb them because that's what we do. And it's not a war because we're not fighting anybody. So it's basically we helped Israel out. And then the other day, I don't know if you saw it, but he said the F word because he said Israel is fucking this up. That was awesome.
They don't know what they're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know what the fuck. I was like, Donnie, fine. See, now I respect him. Let's not get carried away. It's not like it's going to carry over much further than that. But I was like, finally, the New Yorker comes out in you.
Oh, you like that, did you? Yeah, okay.
You know why? Because that's an honest opinion. And all these people, when they go to these, the leader of the world, and they're like, well, this is be blunt. Let's cut the bullshit. And let's just say, I would rather if I was the president, the problem would be I use the F word like a comma. And I would be up there. And if someone did something stupid, I'd be like, you're a fucking moron. And people are like, oh, okay, we know where he stands. And you want to know something? I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. There's no
Yeah.
there's no decorum
It was.
in this world anymore.
It's
And
pretty
let's just be
authentic.
blunt
I like
and cut and dry. And I applauded him for that, for saying exactly what he thought. And what he said wasn't stupid this time. It wasn't like he said he made up a word. It wasn't like it was the best thing since Hiroshima. He's really like, they just have no fucking clue. And I was like, you know what? That's the smartest thing you've said since you've been president.
Yeah.
Because just you were blunt and honest, and that was you. That was it.
I'm visualizing the image of him saying that, and I have to say, it looked pretty honest. It looked authentic.
Yeah.
He wasn't sort of, there were no hand movements, none of this crap. It was just, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I'm like,
that's it.
Here's the weird thing.
Yeah.
I got the same vibe as you. I thought, no matter what the content of what he said was, no matter whether we agree with each other, I like the fact, I like that. There's something about that I really enjoy.
Yeah, it was raw.
It was like, oh, there you go. And too bad it's all yes, but it doesn't matter.
Right, but at least he said it. It's like good for you, and everybody's bleeping it out.
You know, don't dilly dally. Just say what you want. Just say it. Just get it out there. But
let me tell you something. If I was Israel and Iran, and I saw him, if I'm watching that, and I'm like, "Ooh, the president of the United States just called us effing morons," I'm thinking he's pissed off. We should probably adhere or take heed of what he just said, because he's not being politically correct. Like, even though in the beginning of the press, that little press thing is hitting on the girl from Israel, the press girl going, "Oh, where are you from? What's going on? Hey, how you doing?" And it was sort of like,
But Stephen, I think in that moment, we all got a sense of what his people like about him. There was a bit of that.
Yeah. And his frustration.
Look, policies and good Lord, facts aside, a lot of his appeal, if you read what people say about him, the people that like him, the people that not necessarily like him, but people who sorry, there's this. Can you give me a second?
Yeah, go take care of the puppies, and I'll just do the show here and let everybody know what's going on. Hey, kids, if you're listening on the podcast, Orel has a dog, a little cute puppy. He's got to go take care of the puppy. So we're going to get back to the Donald Trump using the F-bomb. And for the people that are watching, I'll be doing a puppet show here for the next 5 minutes with my hands, which will be very exciting for you, like Senor Benson. And it'll be like, "Hello, how are you?" So we'll be back in a second. For catching up for the people that have just started, we talked about Tom Cruise doing Les Grossman, and then we talked about WKRP in Cincinnati, that Les Grossman, two different type of Les Grossmans. We also talked about Musk's spaceship blowing up and his love affair with Trump being over and how he's trying to kiss and make up. And we also talked about the U.S. bombing Iran, for you people that missed that part of the show. And finally, we're talking about Trump using the F-bomb. So we will have to see where that goes. And what we found fascinating about Trump using the F-bomb is that made him like a real person. And ladies and gentlemen, he's back after the recap. Congratulations. He's got to pull out his putter now, and he's going to go for a birdie on the 18th hole here at Augusta. Go ahead.
You know who this is?
Who?
The people that you don't like anymore. Team U.
Oh, Team U. I don't have a problem with Team U.
It's delivery. Oh, because I heard that because they couldn't take stuff to your part of the world, they dumped a lot of it here.
Well, as they should, because we don't want that. Yeah,
we don't want that.
Not that crap.
Where were we? We
were talking about Trump using the F word, and we were discussing how that is appealing.
People, I sense there is something about that strength which is like, okay, that's good. Take the man seriously. Now you need to just couple it with a little bit of sanity and maybe a bit of adultness. Right. And then I think you have the makings of a potential president. Maybe.
And sprinkle it for love, and the candy man can. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. What do I know? I just think that I don't know. Okay, so in scenario one, he has been successful. So he's flattened it. But as you said, reports are indicating that perhaps that wasn't the case. Then that's a little more worrying, because what you've done now is you've poked the bear, but you've really just stubbed it. But you really just stubbed his toe. You haven't really slowed him down. Now, like the COVID virus that we all try to contain that got angrier,
right.
you've pissed it off. And look, I'm not going to cast aspersions on how people conduct their foreign policy, but Iran they've got some cyber tools, they've got some missiles, they've got nuclear stuff. Perhaps is this really a good? I don't know. It's concerning. I have a friend who lives in Doha, in Qatar, and he said to me on the night, he said, I'm sitting in my apartment looking up at the sky, and I'm seeing missiles and counter missiles fighting with each other, exploding above me.
Yeah.
And I think what was worrying for me is I contacted him because they mentioned there would be a reprisal from Iran, and they were talking about a base. And then I looked at it and I went, oh, hang on. This is 16 kilometers or so southwest of where my friend lives in Qatar. Why are they firing missiles at Qatar? Oh, it's an American air base or base or whatever it is. And I had a few thoughts about that. I thought, regardless of the whole who attacked what, so you get attacked, and then what you do is you just turn around and go for the closest soft target.
Right. Well, not really soft target.
I thought was pretty lame. I thought, what if some clown pushes the wrong button or gets the navigation wrong and blows up Doha?
Right. Well, we discussed
that's not going to go well, right?
Yeah. Well, we had a dialogue about this about 2 weeks ago on the Lost Dollar Business Club when this was all escalating, and I said, if we do what we just did, I said, we had a map and we showed all the military bases. I said, my concern is that somebody in Crazy Town is going to push a button. And to what you just said is like, we're supposed to hit a military base, whether it's in Doha or the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and it veers off just enough that it hits downtown Dubai or downtown Abu Dhabi or downtown Doha. I said, now you've escalated it. And now if you're in that region and I'm the Emirates, and what am I doing? Am I in the GCC? Am I saying, am I going to war now with Iran? Or do I stand down? Or am I going to war with the United States, who caused them to bomb me? So it becomes this dilemma. And so it's very interesting. So we discussed that, and no one had an answer. So when they bombed Doha the other day, I was like, okay. And it wasn't Doha, it was the army base or the airwork base, whatever's there. And then they stopped. I think there was a phone call probably made on our side, and they go, hey, I think the Hiroshima comment was more of a, do it again, and this will be Hiroshima. And I think that's where Trump was, in my opinion, was saying to them in a nice way, screw with us again, screw with our allies, and we're just going to drop a bomb. Because I don't see where he has a problem dropping a nuclear bomb on Iran. I really don't. I don't see where he and Israel are, even though he thinks Israel is now dumber than a box of rocks. And even though Iran keeps calling it the Zionist America and blah, 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 I think he's at a point where he's like, I'm just going to end it. And real interesting about that hypothesis, if he really did something like that, that would pretty much end everything or start everything. It's either going to go A or B. I'm fascinated by that hypothesis. Like, would you drop a baby nuclear warhead on their plants? If you really want to get rid of it, that's what you need to do, right? You drop it, done, it obliterates everything for 10 miles. There's no villages, no people are hurt, just gets rid of it. Then what happens? Do we go full nuclear globally? Or is it like, okay, this guy's crazy, let's not do shit? It's like a Reagan thing. Like, everybody was afraid to go to war with us when Reagan was president because they're like, this guy's nuts. He's going to push the button. Grandpa doesn't have a clue.
Really? Is that what they thought?
We had no problems when Reagan was president.
Right.
Think about it. Anything we had, Reagan took care of, and because then he started in his second term talking about the movies he was in, where it was like in real life, and they're like, Grandpa's crazy. And so, nothing happened, and people were scared of Reagan, and the wall came down, nobody did shit to America. And when they did, his retaliation was swift and deadly. There's no screwing around, like, in Libya. So
just on that, just taking that, we one day we'll talk about worship and religion and crap and the need for it next time. But
Matrix.
Just picking up on that. Do you think there's, based on what you said, do you think there's any basis for the idea that maybe that's why Putin chanced his arm with Obama and then Biden? I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, because I think he thought they were weak.
Okay.
Like Nikita Khrushchev. I'm gonna go really back. Nikita Khrushchev said when he shook John Kennedy's hand, JFK's hand, he said he was the weakest man he ever met.
Wow.
I was reading his biography. And that was a statement he said. He says, he's the weakest man I ever met. So that's why you had your Bay of Pigs. I'm not your Bay of Pigs. That's why your Cuban Missile Crisis. And then all of a sudden, he wasn't the weakest man he met because they were sending a fleet over there to destroy them. He's like, okay, maybe not so much. They moved their missiles out of Turkey, whatever the deals behind the doors were. I think with Trump, I think this bombing does two things. One, it's not a war. So we put that aside. So technically, no, we're not at war. I think the language he used the other day about everybody being effing idiots, I think is showing his frustration. And I think he's starting to be like, listen, I'm here to make peace. We don't need a war. Like for all his bullshit and for all his, if you will, pussy grabbing and all his stupid statements and all his crap that he has no clue. If he really is trying to do peace, he's kind of doing it the right way. Like you have to say, listen, we're not tolerating this anymore. But so I agree with what he did. My concern is, where does it go? To your point, where does it go from here? And I think the reason Biden and Obama had problems is because I think people perceive them to be weak. Even if they were or weren't, I don't know. But I think they perceive Trump as a strong man that's just crazy enough to push some buttons in a good way.
Yeah. I think what is interesting about this period is now that he's gone down that road.
Right.
Yes, I don't know who said this. I think it was I feel it was a Secretary of Defense or something. I'm not sure. Right. Guy from the US. I'm trying to think who he's. Yeah. I can see his face right now. Anyway, he said, could have been Colin Powell. I'm not sure, but they said a guy like that. They said the thing about threats is they can be very. They get very expensive. You have to. You have to be prepared. You have to give the impression. And 100% that if A isn't done, then B will follow. Period.
Right.
And then if A isn't done, if there's any quandary in your mind about whether you go to B, and that quandary is passed on to your adversaries, then the whole thing is the gig is up. So you have to do it. You have to give the impression of I am 10 times bigger than you. If I want to, I can obliterate you. So do what I do. Do what needs to be done. Otherwise, I'm going to obliterate you. And if the person, like a child or the country or the leader, isn't on board and doesn't follow, I guess, your instruction, you have to follow up. You have to follow up. You cannot keep threatening constantly and then do shit. So that's the thing about opening a threat. When you take the gun out and you say, if you don't do X, I'm going to shoot you. When they don't do X, you have to follow it up. And I think, I don't know the specifics, but I'm just looking back on the Obama-Biden years. No aspersions. I'm just saying, following what you said, a lot of threats and a lot of lines, red lines that they established were crossed, and they did nothing. They just went, I'm going to write you a harsh letter. I'm going to moan. I'm very upset with you. Which means jack shit to somebody like a Putin or anybody else.
Or so Gaddafi. I remember Gaddafi.
Okay. I'm going to say the difference here, what I think is, I'm not going to say encouraging, but inspiring something is
maybe
you had 60 days. You guys had 60 days to make a deal. You didn't, bang. And then Israel started the shit literally on the 61st day, which it gives the impression of strength. You follow it up with action. And what I'm saying is, obviously, we don't want people and countries threatening each other. But if you do, the most dangerous thing you can do is actually to not follow that up. Otherwise, you are going to get attacked. You are in trouble then, because then you look like the weakling. I don't know. These are just theories.
Well, no, because remember with Gaddafi, I forgot who the president was. I want to say Reagan, and then Reagan had enough of it, and then he just like bombed the crap out of his little tent and his villages. They said to Gaddafi is like, don't cross this line, don't do this, and like he would cross it, and they'd be like, don't cross it, and so by the fourth time they said, don't.
It was Obama, wasn't it? Not Obama, not Obama.
It might have been, but no, but I know Reagan is the one. Like when Reagan was like, oh, you did this, we're going to go do this to you. So Reagan was very much like, carry the big stick and smite you in a second. And unfortunately, the Democrats are more to what you're just saying. We're going to write you a letter. We're going to give you a hug. So for global security, I listen. I stand behind the orange man. I'm glad he did what he did. Now, I don't think you need to pound your chest on how wonderful it was, because you may be wrong. I know he said in the press conference, CNN and ABC and MSNBC, which he called something else, they're crappy news organizations and they're all bullshit. And I'm like, okay. And he said, and they make and the pilots who risk their lives. He's going through this whole thing. Listen, kudos to the pilots. I'm glad they all got safe. That's number one. They got back safely. But just because somebody says the bombing mission that you sent out didn't destroy it, and it only gave 6 months of putting it down for 6 months, if you will, or delayed it for 6 months, no one's disparaging the U.S. pilots that went and did it. So when he does that, it's kind of like, dude, you got to stop with. That's the part of that of his little 2-minute thing that I was like, this is the idiot Trump. And then when he got them being like the rhetoric about fake news and CNN and ABC and all this other crap, and then he was like, they're effing idiots. I was like, that's the guy I want to see. That's the guy who I want to be my president. Yeah. So that's a different.
I was going to say, the frustration I have with him, and you and I have said this. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to share a beer with him, but there are certain policy things that you and I agree with him on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't have to like a president. This is so infantile. It doesn't matter whether you like the guy. Are his policies in accordance with what you need, what you want, what you believe in? Right. And so on that level, I mean, I'm probably more red than I'm blue, which is the weirdest thing. Right. What am I? I'm fiscally conservative and socially probably a bit more liberal. Right. But I think also the older you get, the more conservative maybe you start to become. I'm not sure. I don't know. Right. I think I'm probably in that category. But I think the thing that frustrates me about him is that, and we have leaders like that too, he'll say 8 things and you're going, yes, yes. And then he says the 9th thing. Yeah. And then he says the 10th thing. And you say, Don, you were fine up until page 8. And then you went on to page 9. And my advice would be just a couple of things. And I had a mate of mine who campaigned for him. He had the hat. He was a big MAGA guy. Yeah. He still is. He loves the guy. He's a fan. And he can actually make a good case for why he voted for him. And that's fine. That's great. But I said to him, Marty, his name is Marty.
Marty? Hey, Marty.
Marty. I mean, if I want to say it in my accent, I say Marty, but it sounds stupid when I say it like that. Because I always used to call him Marty. So Marty. Sounds like Marty. Marty McFly. Marty McFly.
There we go.
Ooh, and the dog.
To Marty.
I used to say to him, you have to acknowledge, though.
Yeah.
He needs to just stop reacting. Do what he does. Say, those guys are idiots, whatever, and mean it, and bring that New York quality, fabulous. And then if someone says to him, oh, Mr. President, we heard that it was only 6 months and you didn't really destroy it and blah, blah, blah. The correct reaction would be, so what? Don't debate. Just go, yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Right. Whatever. Yes.
Yeah, whatever. You do you, I'll do me. Whatever.
That's right.
And just brush it off. Yeah. And I think that would be much more effective. You don't have to.
We're still assessing it.
You've done it. You've done the bombing. You've done it.
Yeah.
And I think there were a lot of people on both sides are going, okay, we may not have liked it or something, but we respect the action.
There you go.
Because, he did it. And you can't argue with that. He actually did do it. And you go, that's it. Leave it. It's done. And if you just shut up, by the way, dispense with the social media crap. Be a little more mysterious, mate. You don't have to tell everybody what's inside you all the time. That's not a good move. Let people think. I think one of the presidents said, I don't know who it was, Theodore Roosevelt or one of them. You probably know who it is. And he said, or Abraham Lincoln or Mark Twain or one of these people, they said,
because Mark was a great president.
Have people think you're an idiot, or open your mouth and remove all doubt.
That's Mark Twain.
Was it Mark Twain? Okay, Mark Twain.
I think so, yeah.
Well, let's give it to Mark Twain. Yeah, Mark Twain. We're going to give it to him? We'll give it to him. But the thing is, it probably wasn't him. I don't know. But the thing is, that's all he... The weird thing about him is that's all he needs to do. And by the way, you don't have to... The whole thing with this country and the genocide, don't get involved in that shit. To be honest with you, as someone who has lived there and has lived here and has lived in the UK, I was happy that South African issues were on his radar. But then I thought to myself, if I was an American voter, if I was a taxpayer, and the money that I earned was going to the White House, who basically worked for me, my question would be when he's sitting there with the South African president is, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
What is this going to do with us? What? Why? Why are we doing this? What is this slideshow? I don't even care whether it's true or not. What does it affect me? How is it going to help my kids? How is it going to help me? I don't know, get a job, fix my roads, whatever. It's very simple. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. If you've got the time and you've solved all your domestic problems and people, the unemployment rate is 0, and everybody has got a cheaper college education or whatever, and you've plowed that money into helping kids get degrees and so on, and you've done all that, and you go, shit, what else is there? All right, let's see what else is happening in the world. I'm not saying don't be involved around the world, but if you do, get all the facts or don't bother. That's what I would be when I lived there and started to become sort of more focused on American issues. And I lived there and I thought, I don't know why this country is so, why is it so involved with things that it's giving money to people that hate it. Hate it. Why is it doing that? I understand we've had this conversation. Oh, with great power comes great responsibility. That's fine. That's theoretical. But if you were an ordinary bloke who isn't living the American dream and you're just trying to, make a buck and get by, and you've got your civil servants, your people, the president who works for you, jamming all around on the world stage with this crap, and you go, what are you doing? It's costing me money. It's going to cost my grandchildren money. Stop doing it. All right? Just let's fix shit here first. That's all I'm saying. And he doesn't have to respond to everything. He doesn't have to. That's the frustrating thing I have about him. I get why people thought Biden was weak. I do. I get it. He looked old and frail. Right. I don't know what he's like as a man. He seems okay. This is not, the thing is, people take the shit so personally. That's the problem. I can promise you now, Joe Biden or Donald Trump or Barack Obama couldn't give two shits about you personally. You hire them for a job, they do the job, or they don't do the job. And all three of them don't have to react. Once they're in power, they don't have to react to everything you say. You may want them to, but they don't have to. They're working for 350 million people to get shit done. If they don't get it done, you fire them. But if you're the president, not that what do I know? You don't have to, Jesus, you don't have to respond to everything. If somebody says, hey, Mr. Trump, you're a big orange turd. Yeah, whatever. Whatever. Here's the word for you, Donnie. Whatever.
Whatever. I got your turd right here, pal.
Fake news. Because then you look like some teenage kid who's found some shit on TikTok. That's what you sound like. In fact, they've probably got a bigger vocabulary than you, because that's what comes across. You don't need to be doing it. Or if you're Xi Jinping, can you imagine somebody saying that to Xi Jinping? He'll go, shoot him. Yeah. Well, they'd know they're going to get shot. Now, that's obviously not cool. But let's just say, we're in, I don't know, Dubai, and Xi Jinping is there, and it's a press conference. Yeah. And some reporter, let's say he's from the US, asks him a dumb question. You know what he'll do? Next question.
Yeah, he'll just ignore it and go on to the next.
Ignore it.
That's right.
And I have to say, I mean, rightly or wrongly, the weird thing is that makes you look like it actually gives you an air of strength. I mean, it shouldn't, but it does. You go,
it gives you credibility. Yeah.
You don't have to do it. I remember years ago, I was cast briefly. I told you this. I was cast briefly in this ridiculous soap. It doesn't matter what it was. And they cast me as a lawyer. And I had these two strong men behind me. And I went to see, the scene was I went in and I was there to sort stuff out with this guy, because he needed to understand, right? My initial take on the character and on the scene was, you need to, we're gonna, there was a lot of energy in my performance. And the director said to me, look, that's great, We cost you because you're a little scary looking and blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
But this is what you're going to do now in the next take. You're going to take it all the way back. You're at about a 9, 8 right now. You're going to take it back almost to a 0. You're going to straighten his tie. You're going to brush off his shoulders. You're going to dust the fluff off his shoulders. You're going to compliment him.
Right.
You're looking good. But it's the way you do it.
Yeah.
It's calm. Hey, I see, Stephen, you're looking good. Is that a new suit? Oh, look at that. Your tie's a bit skew. So the words are nice. The vibe is there, but it's seething. It's just freaking there. It's understated. And when we looked at that take after we had done it, I even got scared of myself. Now I'm saying, yeah, but that's what it is. Now I'm saying you don't have to, if Trump just, I know he's not going to do it, but if someone can just put a dog collar around him and just pull him back and say, Mr. President, it's okay. Sir, no more questions. And just get him on the chopper. Just get him out of that. Yeah. I don't know.
That would be nice. But he may like the dog collar thing behind closed doors. He may like the dog collar thing behind closed doors. So I don't know if we want to go that route. And the other thing,
especially now that he's taken out his dick and he's swung it around.
I know. Well,
so now
you need a telescope to see that, but go ahead.
Oh, you mean a microscope? I don't know. But jokes aside, he does, now that he's gone down this road, he has to look like a wall. Just we're doing this. We want peace. If there's no peace, we'll do it again.
Right.
Yes. And if he feels the need to comment, he can say something like 6 months. In 3 months, we'll be back and we'll finish the job. That's just a warning.
Yeah.
That's a warning. What you got there was, call it the opening salvo. Right. You know, we'll keep the fun for later. I don't know, something to that effect. If you're going to respond, don't look like, no, we really blew them up. No, you
like that's like a little kid. Yeah.
Nah, you
really
quick.
Like two things really quick. One, you have to get going because you have a real gig. And two, I looked up the quote that
few more minutes.
And I looked up the quote and about what you said earlier, the quote you thought was Mark Twain. Scooby-Doo said that. So who knew?
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo. The pothead dog.
I think now that we've entered this period of whatever it is that we've entered, we've got folks at the station saying, oh, World War III and so on and so forth. And people are banding these. We're going to watch the end of the world on YouTube and God knows what. Right. First of all, there's a few things I want to say to that. World War III has been going on for decades. It's the information war. It's been going on forever. So we've been in World War III for a long time. So, okay. So first of all, it's not World War III. It would be World War IV, maybe. I don't know. But I just think that now that we've entered this period, less emotion, more quiet. And that is far scarier. You don't have to tell the Iranians or whoever what you're doing all the time. In fact, it would be better if you didn't. Just, we feel the Mr. Trump. Nothing.
Yeah, stoic.
Nothing. In fact, don't even say anything. Just, Mr. President, did you hear the question?
Next.
Yeah, like that. Like that. Don't engage the children. Why would you do that? When you're a dad, you don't have to engage. When your children are 5 years old and a 5-year-old says to you, oh, Mr. Seagull, you look like a piece of shit. You look like an old piece of wood. Are you going to go down to his level and go, you little fuck, you're a piece of wood. I'm going to fucking burn you, man. You just look at him and go, you may not even regard it. You'll just go, stupid kid, whatever.
Stupid kid. As you throw him in front of a car. But that's Nunzio Rocco's job. Nunzio Rocco, take care of this.
Oh, look, your ride is here. I don't know.
There you go. Thank God for Uber.
Exactly. I don't know. I mean, how about this? We have a press conference, and you get all the reporters on these like little trapdoors. And you go, all right. And you don't say anything. You don't say anything. You go, right. Okay. You have questions. This is what you say. You say, welcome to the press conference. This is better than anything that they're doing right now. That Caroline Levitt, no, get rid of her. Just have all the reporters in a long line on trapdoors, and you go, right, everybody get your positions. You strapped into your trapdoors. Brilliant. All right, good. Right, let's start the questions. And I'm only going to say this once. Choose wisely. First question.
There you go. That'd be awesome.
And the guy asks you something like, and you go, all right, click, next.
So, but you got to admire the North Korean spokesperson, the blonde hair. She does a great job of saying the president's great. She doesn't say anything, but she does. She's the biggest cheerleader. So you got to give her credit for that.
Absolutely. The weird thing is when you know what's weird is when you saw that, I don't know what you call it, that is it a cabinet meeting with Trump and all his minions?
All the yes men. The yes men.
And they're all just saying, well, how he's great. The weird thing is I looked at this and I thought, okay, in some weird universe, there's something about this. It's almost like, okay, we're getting somewhere with this. This is not the execution we want, but this is what we want. We need people to have it's not undying worship, but it is unmitigated respect.
Yeah.
The person that's sitting in that White House needs to say, you elected me to be the president, and that's what I am.
Right.
Like that. We're not going to chit-chat. If you don't like it, then you can vote me out. But right now, and by the way, you saw what I was going to do. I'm doing it. Right? So everybody, calm your farm. Next question. And that's it.
Right.
He needs to stop. He needs to understand. This is the thing. Rightly or wrongly, he was voted in by a solid majority. So go with that. Just do that. You should say in your mind, I have a mandate. Don't keep telling people about the mandate. Just do it. And if people don't like what you do, so what? Well, what are they going to do? There's nothing they can do. Correct. I mean, there's a lot of things he's doing which are questionable. I mean, I saw this whole thing with the agents that have masked and cars that are unmarked cars, and you go, oh shit, this is like the Gestapo.
Right.
Yeah. But you knew that because they said they were going to do it. Correct. So eat it up. So don't moan. Don't moan. Do something about it. But in the meantime, yes, you're going to have to swallow it, because by the process that you subscribe to, this is what you have. Right. So the lesson is, if you don't like it and if you're not happy with things, holding a placard outside some no-name brand building or whatever, it does nothing. It's not going to change a thing. What you want to do is campaign and get your candidate in. And I don't see, for argument's sake, I don't see the Democrats doing that at all. I don't.
No. I don't see. Fetterman is on a lot of shows. Fetterman and Cohen are on a lot of shows. Yeah, the guy from Pennsylvania, but that's it. There's no one else.
But let me tell you something. I would almost put money on this. If you had another election right now, in among all of this crap, everything that he has done, hasn't done, and whatever, things that we've moaned about, things that we've championed, whatever. If he had an election right now and you got Kamala Harris back in, let's just say, all right, Kamala, take two. Not only would he win, he would win by more. That's what I think right now.
I agree. Yeah. Because
so what I'm saying is, people moan and I go, but what change are you affecting? Yeah. Let's say you go, oh, we don't want people to vote for Trump. All right. Okay. What's the other option?
Right.
By the way, I watched a series recently, and I've mentioned this before. It's an Australian series. It doesn't matter what it was. It's about this hitman. And in the dialogue, they mention, it's just a random conversation. They talk about voting. And the one guy says to this woman, he says, so who did you vote for? And she said, I don't vote. And he said, but you're going to get fined. And it reminded me that in Australia, for example, they fine you if you don't vote.
Oh, really?
You have to vote. Right. You have to vote. It's mandatory. Or you have to have a solid reason or whatever. And I remember the character saying, oh, well, how do they know I voted? I'll tell them that I actually did vote, and then they won't fine me. But the point is, you have to vote in Oz. Yeah. And I actually, weirdly enough, think that's a good thing. And I think what bothers me is there should be some sort of a when you go to the voting station. It's not, this is hypothetical. It's not going to happen. But they should say, all right, so Stephen, I see you here. Right, here's your 4-year ticket, your 4-year license. to comment on the administration. There, go.
Right.
That's for you. All right, vote here. There we go. We see you voted. All right, there you are. You are now allowed. You can say whatever you want about this administration because you've signed up. This is your membership application. Go. Anybody who doesn't come, doesn't have that card, trapdoor.
Vote to speak, basically.
Yeah. Or do something about it. Stop whinging about it. Do something. That's it. Because on this side of the world, I mean, we moan about the guy, but he was voted by a democratic process. He's in. Right. He's doing something.
Right.
There it is. So, I don't know.
We got to love it. So that's it. That's the show, everybody. That's how we're leaving it because Mr. Woods has got to go make hundreds of millions of whatever rand over there, which is about $400. So there you have it. Anyway, don't miss next Wednesday when we do another live show. God knows what we're going to talk about. We broadcast it on Friday. Tell your friends, tell people you hate, especially. And don't forget to subscribe and like. And then there you go. I want to thank all the fans and joining us. We'll see you all next week. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you so much for listening to this Road Woods, Rob Vega, whatever the hell he wants to call himself, fellow. You know, this podcast thing, it makes him feel very important, and he's a difficult fellow as it is to deal with. So thank you so much for putting up with him, and do take care.